Good evening. My name is Prakash Bishtam, and I'm a sophomore here at SUA. I was born into a very poor family from a small remote village of Lalu in the foothills of the Himalayas in Nepal, elevation 6,500 feet. As a child, going to school was not an option because the nearest school was a distance away, and I was expected to stay home and help my family. My day would start out climbing uphill for 30 minutes to fetch fresh water, then going into the jungle to collect firewood to bring back for cooking and heat, and then cutting grass for our buffalo on the land near our house. Electricity, city buses, and cars on paved roads were things I had never heard of. Despite this, I had a happy childhood. Very much a boy having fun and getting into trouble, pulling all kinds of pranks. I remember one incident when my dad caught me smoking with my childhood friends and put cow dung in my mouth. I have never forgotten that lesson or the taste. I don't recommend you try it. Speaking of my father, when I was 8, I was able to travel with him and some neighbors to buy household items in the nearest town, a 100-mile, 4-day journey each way by foot. I was mesmerized being in a city with real streets, vehicles, and electricity. But what really captured my attention was seeing school children my own age, dressed in uniforms, carrying book bags, then being picked up by a school bus. I stood there in shock and was almost left behind by my father, who came back to find me. In that moment, my life shifted because I realized I wanted to be one of those students and told my father that I wanted to go to a school. This realization might have been accidental or an unconscious desire that I had never realized before. My father, who was in construction, having failed 10th grade 4 times, and my mother, who was illiterate, discussed for a month and finally enrolled me in a boarding school in my district, 20 miles away. Going to school changed me on many levels. I learned about morals and having a passion for learning so I could become a contributive citizen in society. On top of that, my thirst for learning was stimulated. And for the next 5 years, I was the top student in my school. That being said, I have to talk about the backdrop of the political situation in my region of Nepal while in school. When I was in the 7th grade, the Maoist communist guerrilla insurgency was in full force. The school I was attending shut down when some communist guerrillas threatened to bomb it down and planted a huge bomb nearby. So I returned home. When I got there, my home was already destroyed by the government forces. The communist guerrillas made our property their office without our consent. Because there were so few options for youth from the villages, many of my friends joined the communist army. I will never forget when 2 people were killed right in front of me. Also, my uncle and my cousin, high-ranking communist commanders, were killed in the war. I managed to have dialogue with some of the Maoist guerrillas, telling them stories in Nepali while they shared Chinese communist books of war in English. I did not want war. I never believed killing people would bring peace and make the society better. So there, at my shut-down school, I told my father I wanted to study further. Because of my grades, the principal of my school was able to help me get a full scholarship to a high school in the capital of Kathmandu, 500 miles away. There, I was safe. I was among the students from all over Nepal. During my 5 years of studies, I went home only once. But the good thing was, I was able to continue my education until the 10th grade, receiving full tuition scholarship for being top in my class each year. In my 10th grade, I even received an award from Chaudhary Group, the largest business conglomerate in Nepal, for being the top performer in academics and extracurricular activities among students in Nepal. My father was so excited for me when I told him that I wanted to further my education in America after my senior high school. My joy, however, was short-lived, as my dad's spine was crushed by a falling boulder. Then my dad became paralyzed and passed away in 3 months. Around the same time, my mother was diagnosed with rheumatic heart disease, which was at the incurable stage. She took her last breath with her head on my shoulder. Having lost both of my parents in such a short time, my heart felt broken. Coupled with having missed 9 months of schools already, I decided to return to my village permanently. With these heartaches, I realized that none of us knows when we will die. I felt that I had to make a difference right then. So in memory of my parents' hopes for me, at 19, on the site of our bombed out house, I established a service-oriented primary school. It truly took a village to create a school, because with their help, we cut bamboo for the walls and stones from my house and built the foundations. We created it and named it Modern Model Residential School. Over time, with a $30,000 loan and going door to door to promote it, my whole village helped to not only raise those funds, but also help build the first concrete school building with electricity, computers, and TV using modern solar power, which a helicopter had to fly in from the nearest town. It became a model school in 3 years and helped my village leap into the 21st century. Then, with stronger conviction, I decided to return to Kathmandu to pursue higher education. After a few months, USF Nepal Opportunity Funding Program, funded by the US government, enabled me to apply to American universities. While surfing the internet, I found many opportunities for an education. But when I discovered the Soka University website, it was immediately obvious that Soka was the only place that would provide me with the tools to change the world. I immediately applied, and to my great happiness, I was accepted. Because of the liberal scholarship available, I became a proud member of the class of 2017. Coming here was an explosion of new experiences, visually, technologically, socially, and most important to me, educationally. The professors were welcoming and available. I could even drop by their offices to chat. The classroom size was not only small and intimate, but was an actual forum open to individual thoughts, ideas, and opinions. Here, I could not only excel in education, but also develop and hone skills to think and act globally, and to bring change back to my homeland. Besides regular classes, I was able to take 4 weeks of learning cluster with Ambassador Chowdhury, former Undersecretary General of the UN. Through Soka Changemakers, I was able to expand my leadership skills, meeting students from top universities, attending amazing conferences, even winning a global social entrepreneurship competition with a cash prize, and even another scholarship for a leadership and social innovation program this past summer. I'm so appreciative of all these opportunities, and that was just my first year at Soka. When I returned to Nepal this summer, my village greeted me happily and with much excitement. Everyone wanted to hear about my experiences at Soka University and in America. I had so much to share about my life here. I had returned to Nepal for 2 months with 2 very specific goals to accomplish. Firstly, I had received Pacific Basin Research Center summer grant at Soka to do an educational research in my district of Kalikot, which is made up of 30 villages. Despite heavy monsoon, I and 2 volunteers from the capital city reached out to 15 public schools in different villages and tested basic literary skills in English and mathematics among the students of the 5th, 8th, and the 10th grade. We hope the research will be a useful tool for the government to plan and implement educational policies. Secondly, I focused on finalizing locations for 2 more schools we are building next year. The short-term goal of Modern Model Residential School team is to build 10 sustainable model schools in our district in the next 4 years. Let me explain to you why these schools are so important in bringing a revolution in education to developing countries like Nepal. I would like to go into just a little detail. Our schools are non-governmental, private, and service-oriented schools. At our schools, parents who have jobs or secured means of income pay as little as $100 a year for their children's tuition, which includes books, uniforms, and a meal a day. Parents who don't have a means of income volunteer 30 days a year at our school, building infrastructure and working at school-operated business ventures like goat farming or the copy and stationery center. Finally, orphans and the ones who come from critical family backgrounds get all expenses paid by the school. We partner with organizations, individuals, and impact investors to build and expand this great network of education to create a social impact, changing the lives of thousands of youth and their families in need of support. Let me end my experience today with a quotation by the founder of SUA, Daisuke Ikeda, which has been a powerful motivation for me to be passionate and bold in my work for creating these schools. The proud mission of those who have been able to receive education must be to serve in seen and unseen ways the lives of those who have not had this opportunity. As you can see, this quotation is also on the front wall of my school for all to see. This is why I build schools. I have had to overcome major obstacles to receive a tremendous education. In gratitude, I want to foster new generations of students with the same opportunities that were firstly provided to me by my parents. Secondly, you, the donors of SUA, who have made it possible for me to stand here today. उपस्थित सबैलाई हृदयदेखि नै धन्यवाद. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have my commitment to make the world a better place. Thank you.